You can't go up to the Lord and say, give me muscles and then I'll start working out. Okay. So I needed to go through that maturing process, going through the ups and downs of a mission. And then eventually the reward came. My name is Agbor, and I am originally from Nigeria. I joined the church in 1982, October of that year. Growing up, we grew up in the Catholic Church, and we were very good members. We attended church regularly. We studied the scriptures on a daily basis. We prayed very regularly every day. I remember thinking that the only thing that I wanted to be when I grew up was an altar boy, just because I had developed a love for the Lord because of my mother. Many people that know my mother would often say that she is an angel on the earth. She is honestly one of the greatest humans I have ever met. She just had that mentality of wanting to serve and wanting to make a difference. I watched her serve other people, and I watched the joy that came to her as she served, and which of course inspired me to also be involved in serving. In the late 70s, my father came to the United States to visit his brother and decided to come back to the United States and begin attending the University of Utah. He ended up running into some members of the church. These members introduced him to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and he ended up joining the church. Now, we knew nothing about the church, only what my father would share with us through letters. The ward council were meeting. Somebody came up with a brilliant idea. They decided that they were going to raise enough money to be able to bring my mother and myself and my 3 siblings to the United States. This was a young married student ward. So most of the members of the ward were probably in their early 20s, just newlyweds. But yet they were able to come up with enough money to be able to bring my family over. Once we arrived, of course, the missionaries came right over and began teaching. And I recall taking the discussions. I was about 10 years old at the time, and I enjoyed hearing what they had to say. But not only that, it just made sense. And I remember being taught about the word of wisdom. Of course, coming to America from Nigeria, we were very poor, extremely poor. We lived in a 300 square foot apartment. There were 6 of us, but yet we felt as if we'd made it. Somebody had given us a 6-pack of Pepsi, which would mean that each one of us would have our own Pepsis. And we decided that we were going to have our individual Pepsis right after the missionaries were done during dinner. And so after the missionaries talked about the word of wisdom and caffeine and so on and so forth, I decided, as we were taking the discussions, that I wanted to be in full bore with the Lord. So I said, yes, not only would I live it, but I'm not going to drink caffeine either. And my younger brother, Mbe, was asked if he would commit to the word of wisdom. He says, yes, he would live the word of wisdom, but then he ended up asking me, Agbor, can I have your Pepsi? So needless to say, he ended up with my Pepsi. But from then till now, I've never drank caffeine, just because I decided that early age, because I figured if I didn't drink caffeine, then I wouldn't have to worry about anything else. So I ended up serving a mission in the Great California Ventura Mission, which is probably the best decision I ever made outside of deciding to join the church, because it altered my life so much, and it changed it forever. I decided to serve my mission, not because I knew that the church was true, but I knew that that was what was expected of me, was to serve the mission. And it wasn't until the very last area in my mission where I finally received that revelation, that conviction. There had been a series of events on my mission that helped solidify my testimony. First of all, watching people's lives change, feeling the Spirit on occasion, from occasion to occasion, as I served as a missionary. I remember one day I felt as if I was so grateful to be a missionary. And so I decided to get down on my knees. And as I was kneeling, I received that testimony, that conviction, that feeling that we hear so many people, so many converts talk about. I remember weeping in the bathroom on my knees and being so grateful to be a missionary, and finally knowing 100% that this church was true. And I think the reason why the Lord waited to give me that testimony is kind of an analogy that I often will use with the youth. You can't go up to the Lord and say, give me muscles and then I'll start working out. Okay? You can't go to the Lord also and say, teach me how to play the piano and then I'll practice, or give me the gift to be able to play and then I'll practice. And so I needed to go through that maturing process, going through the ups and downs of a mission. And then eventually the reward came. I now am of the mindset that, you know what, I am so converted, I am convicted, my heart is convicted. I love this church. To be converted unto the Lord, to me, means that no matter what He asks of me, I am willing to do. And it's not just a desire to be obedient, it's a desire to please the Lord. I like what the Savior said, where He said of His Father, He says, I only do those things that please Him. And that's where I hope to be heading, is to only do those things that please Him. And this is the gospel to me.